When you think of Lady Gaga, you think of theatrical performances, bold fashion, and a fearless presence on stage. She's a woman who has worn a meat dress to an award show, sung at the Super Bowl, and stepped into roles that push every boundary. But even Gaga, with her fearless energy, once admitted to an encounter so chilling, it left her shaken. An encounter with something she described as a dark spirit that haunted her hotel room. This is the story of Lady Gaga's terrifying brush with the paranormal. A story that shows us that no matter how famous, powerful, or confident you may be, there are forces out there that can leave even the strongest people trembling. Lady Gaga has always been open about her belief in the spiritual world. In interviews, she has spoken about ghosts, spirits, and energy that lingers in certain places. Unlike many celebrities who shy away from such topics, Gaga has embraced her connection to the supernatural. She once confessed that she feels sensitive to spiritual energy and even admitted to traveling with equipment designed to ward off spirits. Her fascination with the occult and her theatrical embrace of darker imagery in her music has always raised eyebrows. But Gaga insists that her use of such imagery isn't just for show. It comes from genuine experiences and beliefs. This makes her haunted hotel story even more chilling, because Gaga wasn't a skeptic to begin with. She believed something was out there, and in one particular hotel stay, she came face to face with it. The most infamous account of Gaga's haunting happened during a tour in 2010. Gaga was staying at a luxurious European hotel when something began to unsettle her. At first, it was just a feeling, the sensation of being watched when she was alone in her suite. Staff members recalled that Gaga looked visibly disturbed after her first night there. She told her team she couldn't sleep because the energy in the room felt wrong. The atmosphere was heavy, suffocating, as though something unseen was pressing against her. As the nights went on, Gaga began to hear noises. Whispering voices, the sound of footsteps moving across the floor when no one was there. At one point, she swore she saw a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of her room, watching her silently before disappearing. Gaga later identified this presence as a malevolent spirit she referred to as Ryan. According to her, this wasn't just a passing ghost. It was a dark entity that clung to her, trying to drain her energy. Who, or what, was Ryan? Lady Gaga claimed this spirit had followed her for some time. She described it as a dark energy that felt heavy and oppressive. Unlike a friendly ghost or harmless presence, Ryan seemed to feed off fear. Her security team reportedly took her concerns seriously after she broke down in tears, insisting she couldn't stay in the room any longer. Gaga felt so convinced that Ryan was real that she arranged for spiritual cleansing rituals while on tour. She even hired a team of paranormal investigators and mediums to perform ceremonies to rid her spaces of the spirit. Candles, sage, chants, anything to break free from Ryan's grip. Some reports suggest that Gaga went as far as carrying electromagnetic field detectors, devices often used by ghost hunters, to ensure her rooms were free from spiritual disturbances. The story becomes even more eerie when you consider the accounts of hotel staff. Though the hotel has never been publicly named, likely to protect its reputation, whispers from staff members suggest that it already had a history of paranormal activity before Gaga's stay. Guests had complained of flickering lights, cold spots, and the feeling of being watched. One staff member claimed that Gaga wasn't the first celebrity to complain of the man in the corner, a shadow figure often reported on the higher floors of the building. If true, this suggests Gaga wasn't imagining things. It was part of a longer legacy of hauntings tied to the hotel. Part 5. Why Gaga was so vulnerable. To understand why Gaga may have been especially sensitive to such experiences, you have to look at her mindset during that time. In 2010, Gaga was at the height of her fame, but also under immense pressure. The Monster Ball tour was grueling, with constant performances, endless travel, and little sleep. Gaga has admitted that her mental health was fragile during this period. She felt isolated, exhausted, and sometimes consumed by the very persona she had created. Paranormal experts often say that spirits are more likely to manifest around people who are vulnerable, whether emotionally, physically, or spiritually. Gaga, drained and exhausted, may have been the perfect target for something darker to attach itself to. The encounter shook Gaga so deeply that she took lasting precautions. She reportedly refused to stay in certain hotels again and insisted on having her rooms cleansed before she would sleep in them. In later interviews, Gaga didn't shy away from the story. She admitted openly that she had been haunted and that she took the spirit seriously. For her, it wasn't a publicity stunt or a gimmick. It was a genuinely terrifying experience that left her scarred. Interestingly, this period also coincided with Gaga's creative exploration of darker themes in her music and visuals. From songs like Monster to her haunting stage sets, Gaga's art during this time reflected her struggle with shadows, both personal and supernatural. Gaga isn't the only celebrity to claim encounters with spirits in hotels. In fact, haunted hotels seem to be a recurring theme among stars constantly on tour. For example, Miley Cyrus once claimed her London apartment was haunted by the ghost of a little boy. Adele reportedly refused to stay alone in her Sussex mansion because of strange noises and shadowy figures. Kesha has openly said she believes she has had sexual encounters with spirits. Lady Gaga's story, however, stands out because of the intensity of her fear and the lengths she went to protect herself. Unlike others who laughed off their experiences, Gaga admitted that she was terrified and took extreme measures to rid herself of the spirit. Of course, skeptics argue that Gaga's haunting may have been the result of exhaustion, stress, or even sleep paralysis. The shadowy figure she described could have been a hallucination brought on by her grueling schedule. But believers counter that Gaga's story aligns with countless reports of dark spirits attaching themselves to individuals. The consistency of her experiences, combined with the history of the hotel, makes it difficult to dismiss entirely. And for Gaga herself, there was no doubt. Ryan was real. Ryan was dangerous. And Ryan was not welcome in her life. Part 9. Gaga's transformation in a strange way. The haunting marked a turning point for Gaga. She began to focus more on protecting her mental and spiritual health, surrounding herself with rituals of cleansing and grounding. Over time, Gaga embraced her identity with even greater intensity, but she also allowed more vulnerability into her art. Her music began to balance darkness with light, fear with empowerment. Some fans believe the haunting was symbolic, a manifestation of Gaga's internal struggles with fame, identity, and mental health. Whether supernatural or psychological, the experience forced her to confront something very real, the shadows she carried with her. Lady Gaga's haunted hotel room reminds us of something chilling yet universal. Fame and power do not protect you from fear. Even someone as bold and fearless as Gaga can find herself shaken by forces she cannot explain. Was it truly a ghost named Ryan, a malevolent spirit clinging to her energy? Or was it the toll of exhaustion, stress, and vulnerability manifesting as something darker? We may never know the truth. But one thing is certain. For Lady Gaga, the haunting was real. It terrified her, changed her routines, and became part of the legend of her life. And perhaps, that's what makes ghost stories so compelling. They blur the line between the supernatural and the psychological, between the fears that come from outside and the ones that live within us. So the next time you check into a hotel room, remember Gaga's story. Listen closely to the silence. Watch the shadows in the corner. And ask yourself, what would you do if you realized you weren't alone? Because as Lady Gaga discovered, sometimes the scariest stage isn't in front of thousands of screaming fans. Sometimes it's a dark hotel room at night, with only a shadow in the corner for company.